Is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Talking Halos. I'm your host today, Jared Timms, and I am joined alongside my co-host, my partner in crime, Nate Green. Nate, how you doing again? Since we just did this, but
I'm
just
doing
do it
well.
again.
How
I know
about you, buddy?
you won't.
You're doing well?
Nobody else will see it. Yeah, I'm not doing too bad. Nobody else will see it, but yeah, we had to do this again. It's good. We're doing good.
It'll be fine.
It's fine. It's fine. Angels are playing some decently good baseball right now. It seems like Angels Nation isn't panicking too much at the moment after winning the next two. The bullpen seems to have calmed down a little bit, only giving up 2 runs in that Washington National Series. I know that a lot was made out of it, bullpen wise and all that fun stuff, but only 2 runs were given up. 2 big runs that they probably should have won. Hey, runs, Nate. ERA, that does matter.
It does. Can you
Yeah,
stop the other team from scoring? Yes or no?
and they did that. I mean, it wasn't a
Name of
great
the game.
offense, but they did that. And I don't know. We can't take a lot. But we'll continue to play this series by series. You can't take a lot from the National Series, I don't think. I mean, yeah, they played bad baseball in game 1, and we'll go over it a little bit. Nothing too much though. But I think we do find out a lot more from the next 2 series. You go Boston and then to New York to play the Yankees, which I think is going to be a lot of fun. And then you get a little bit of a break going coming home and playing Kansas City and Oakland for 7 there, and then that kind of rounds out. I guess you finish off April with Milwaukee, which will be fun as always. Playing a different ballpark, playing the NL, and everything like
I
that.
think that's a really good matchup for the Angels. That's like a similar team wise. Brewers, Angels, like possible playoff team, possible 78, 80 win team, depending on if things go perfectly for both teams. So I think that's going to be a really fun, interesting series. But the Boston one, Boston, New York, obviously, these are the series you look forward to every year. Especially playing in Boston and in New York back to back. It's going to be a tough road trip. And how will they come out? The one thing that will be interesting too, how will Shohei Ohtani pitch in Boston or New York? I believe it'll be in New York.
He went today.
What?
He went yesterday, right? When did he go?
Yeah. So
Went yesterday.
he went Tuesday, or yeah, he went Tuesday.
Depends on how many days rest they give him. He could go next Tuesday, and that's game 1 in New York. Or I guess if you don't, you have the day off today, technically, when this podcast is coming out. So you have the day off today. You could technically push him to the Monday 9 a.m. game, 8 a.m. game, I guess, for some.
8:30.
Yeah. So that's interesting, actually. We'll see. Like, do you give him, I guess, day game the day before as well? You get that noon game back on the East Coast. So I don't know. You might give him the day off on that Sunday, and then you get the marathon game on Monday. We'll see. We'll definitely see. We'll have podcasts before that. We'll know the rotation before that, obviously. So, but like we said, Angels coming off a okay series, I'll say. Okay homestand as well. I think they should have won a couple more games in there for sure, especially against the Nationals there. And then also against Toronto. I think they blew a couple of those games. But you got anything to take away from them other than your famous quote that we're going to put on a t-shirt? They are who we thought they are. They are who they thought.
That's not my famous quote. Come on. No, I mean, the National Series really reminded me of the Oakland series. You played good enough to beat a bad team twice, and you should have won 3, but the team collapsed and decided not to hit, and also decided that they didn't want to pitch. So it happens. The Toronto series is a little bit alarming for me, just because that is a playoff team. That's a good team. Those are the teams that you're going to have to beat when you have the lead. Like, you're going to have to take advantage of being up 6 going into the 7th or the 6th inning. Like, you're gonna have to beat those type of teams, and that's the one thing is, like, can the Angels beat these type of teams? I don't know if they can beat them long term. So they're gonna need some help.
I was gonna say, especially with the way Toronto used their bullpen too.
Toronto wore that thing out. Yeah. They had nobody left for that Sunday game.
Yep.
They left Kikuchi out there to die. It was like, hey, buddy, you're just gonna wear this one. Somebody's gonna buy you
6-0 game in the 4th or something like that, and you got to find a way to close that game. You got to find a way to win those games. I thought they matched up well, though. I know we're early in the season. I thought they matched up well against Toronto, who I think I have going to the World Series. Nate, I know you're not too far behind, something like that.
Yeah, I had them losing in the playoffs, but yeah,
Playoff. We have them both as a
yeah,
playoff team,
they're a
so
playoff team.
they played
They
well
are a
against
playoff
them.
team.
I always thought, and kind of an interesting thing here before I get on to, I have a question from one of our listeners. I always thought this was kind of a younger thing, and but it feels like just from where we're at right now, and we're what, 12 games in, it seems like the Angels are playing to their competition at the moment, which I always thought was like
Yeah,
a kids thing, like, you know, adults, or not, I not necessarily adults, but pro athletes will go out there and play, no matter what. But these first 12 games, it's like, you get the Oakland series, and it's like, you should have swept. You should have just knocked them out of the park. You're so much better of a team. You go up to Seattle, and you're like, and you play really well against them. You play up to that competition there. Yes, game one against Seattle, like you face a good pitcher. The offense doesn't hit. It happens. It's baseball. But the other two games, it was like, dude, like the Angels can compete against these teams. It's a lot of fun to watch it. You come in Toronto, Angels can compete against the Toronto Blue Jays as well. A playoff team that a lot of people think are a playoff team. And, they kind of play down to Toronto wasn't playing very well. They used their bullpen. It wasn't the best series for Toronto, and the Angels just kind of gave it away. Same thing here in the Washington Nationals series. It was like Angels had so many opportunities in game one. Yeah, they took 2 or 3, but it felt like, why didn't they sweep Washington? Like it didn't even feel like it was it felt like the Angels were playing
and
a
they played a lot of close games, really
yeah.
close games. Like
Yeah. And I get that it's baseball and that happens.
it
Like,
is.
it definitely happens, and bad teams can play good, bad teams can get streaky, good teams can, not play so well. But like these first 12 games, if there's one thing that I can really take away from it, it just feels like they're playing to their competition and not playing to the level that I expect them to play. I know you expect them to play like 500 baseball, but the way this team's played a little bit, it seems like they should be playing a lot better against bad teams, especially. I don't know. Weird thought there, but I don't know if you have any thought.
I was just gonna say it feels like they're riding the wave of emotions. Like they're riding a roller coaster up and down, and it's like when things are good, they usually are playing well, and when things aren't going good, like they play good in Seattle. Typically, that's one of the places they play good in. Oakland is one of the places they typically struggle in. No matter how good or bad Oakland is, it always seems like you're always playing Oakland tough. And then you come back home, and it was one of those things where it was like, oh, when we got our guy on the mound, we got a shot. When we don't have our guy on the mound, we don't have a shot. And that's kind of the roller coaster that we could be riding all year, but we'll see. If some of these starters start to pick it up and get through 6 or 7 innings and be the rotation people think they can be, then this team's gonna be really good. But they're going to have to stretch out because this bullpen is being used a lot in weird scenarios.
I think it's kind of being overused, but not really, if that makes sense. Like, I think there are so many guys throwing, but they're not throwing a lot. It's like 2/3 of an inning,
Yeah.
like Matt Moore. It felt like Matt Moore came in like two or three times for 2/3 of an inning. Ryan Tepera coming in for two pitches, I can't talk. 2 pitches. It's like, why are we using some of these guys in these situations? Dirty innings, all that stuff, So yeah, I agree with you on that side of stuff. And let's get on to this question. I got 2 things to kind of talk about today. And then I know we'll do another podcast for Friday as well, because I want to have a little podcast about the 3 pitchers that, what's going to go on there and all that stuff. So friend of the show, Chad Smithers, actually asked, and Jeff Fletcher actually put out some stats on the Angels bullpen. One of the stats is that they have either the lowest or the second lowest average exit velocity. Now, this is something that we talked about with the shift, or scouting. Like, I know the Angels have a very high BABIP, and that could be for multiple reasons. It could be luck, but for one thing. However, like I just mentioned, I have felt for a while that the Angels just do not scout very well. And that's kind of what it seems like. Like, you look at the Washington Nationals game 1, where the Angels actually kind of out hit them when it came to hard hits. The Nationals really didn't get anything hard. If anybody was watching that series, yeah, they scored, or that game, yeah, they scored 6 runs, but they had 15 hits. But the hardest hit until the 7th or 8th inning when Joey Meneses hit a 103-mile-an-hour double, or I think he lined out. I think the hardest hit before that was 95 miles an hour. So I haven't looked up any stats. I'm going to be honest here. I don't even know if I can really look up any, and I guess on Fangraphs and actually on Baseball Savant, they do have positioning, but it would be interesting. I'm interested in your thought on if you think it's scouting, if you think it's just luck that, all these kind of crap hits. I mean, we saw the inning with Ryan Tepera too, where it was just like, broken bat single, broken bat single, broken bat single. I know you're not a huge Ryan Tepera fan, and you've been there too, where it's like, I can't get an out today. It's a bloop hit. It's a broken bat. It's, one thing after another thing. And it just kind of seems like it's kind of gone that way for the Angels and kind of the pitching staff too. I mean, like Griffin Canning looked good today, but it wasn't a lot of hard hit balls either today. So I don't know. I mean,
Washington does not hit the ball hard. You look at it; they don't have a bunch of guys that are hitting the ball with really good exit velo. It's not just the Angels series. So, looking at the National series is kind of like tough when talking about this. Toronto series, that's the one that it's like, oh, okay, I'll take the soft contact against Toronto because they have so much exit velo in Toronto. Like Springer hits the ball hard typically, Kirk hits the ball hard typically,
good hitting.
Vlad, Bichette. You just go through their lineup and it's like, yeah, these guys mash. So unpopular opinion when it comes to BABIP and things like that, but part of it is pitchers not hitting spots. Like you are giving, like, if those pitches are a little bit more off the plate or a little bit more down like they're supposed to be, you're not making contact.
Now, I feel like you're speculating here. You got to bring up some stats or something, man. Like, give me something that shows that that's a thing. Because I know we're coaches. I know that we watch a lot of games, and it's like
I'm just telling you from past experience. When you watch film on games where it's like, oh man, I thought I was throwing the ball well, or I thought this guy was throwing the ball well, and he gives up flare here, flare there. Most of those pitches are hittable pitches, and they're not getting good. They're not getting good contact on it because maybe you're deceptive, maybe you're, maybe they were guessing and they guessed wrong. Like there are a lot of things, but I don't know. I'm not. I don't really care about the BABIP thing. It's like, are you getting outs? Yes or no? Like, some people think you can control strikeouts. If you look at some of these things, I'm not a huge believer in like, oh, you can control walks, strikeouts, and those kind of things. But there was an article the other day that said, if you want good pitchers, you want to look at strikeouts, walks, things that are controllable. And I don't know. The Angels aren't doing a great job of limiting the base hits. They're not doing a great job of limiting runs when it comes to the bullpen. And I think that some of these pitches are a little bit
runners
too
getting
hittable.
on base. They're not limiting runners getting on base. Like as a bullpen, like you need to. They haven't walked a lot of guys. It's the hit side of things. It really is. Like they have the lowest walk percentage in baseball. It's 4.4. Well, before today, but that actually might have gone down even more. I don't know. It's like I said, we're 12 games in. I don't know what to take away from it, but it's something just to keep an eye on as we move through. I know Jeff Fletcher brought it up. I know, talked about it. You don't.
I've seen the reports on the BABIP and the exit velo and things like that, and it's, you still got to make pitches. You still got to get outs. Sometimes you go through those stretches where you're only hitting the ball hard, and sometimes you go through this, like, how many times have there been hard hit balls that are outs too? Like you talked about it with, but before the double with, was it Meneses you were talking about? Yeah, before the double with Meneses, like, CJ Abrams hit one to the track that was hit pretty good. Dom Smith almost hit one out. Like, they were hitting the ball hard. It just was getting caught. The ones that are falling, the one thing that the Nationals do well is they don't strike out. They are going up there looking for contact. So it is hard. It is hard to put them away, but they usually aren't hitting the ball hard because they are looking for contact. So
that's fine. Just something I want to bring up. And for those wondering, as I was looking up baseball Savant, they don't have defensive metrics yet. If I can speak today. So positioning wise, so we'll see when that comes out. I think it's usually a month into the season. They don't like to post it right away. But with that being said, last thing before I let everybody go, and I feel like we have to talk about this. How about Brett Phillips? Man, come on.
Yeah, good to see him. Spark plug off the bench today. I think it was a really good day. Really odd day to start him, knowing his stats against left-handed pitchers, and Mackenzie Gore starting the year really good. But yeah, good ABs from him. 2 walks, stolen base, playing some good defense. I don't think that ball gets out.
No,
do you think that ball gets out?
No, good play though. It's off the
Yeah,
wall.
yeah, no, definitely good play, but I don't think it gets out.
He made the play look a lot easier than anybody else would have. Like he
Probably
got
so.
to a spot so quickly, he almost didn't have to jump. Like if the wall wasn't there, he runs it down. But since the wall's there, he jumps, makes it look really good. But like you watch it and he gets to a spot and then it's like, oh, I have time and space. Let me jump and get it. Like he was almost messing around on it. And that's what it felt like.
Yeah. So but it's funny because I brought this up with a friend the other day. The Angels came out with the article, well, maybe it's about a week ago now. And they were talking about, we're not going to steal bases. All these other teams are stealing bases. We're just trying to hit the ball out of the yard.
And stealing bases basically won them the game today.
And that's how they won baseball games. Yeah. So it's very frustrating for me to hear that and just be like, oh, we're going to wait for the long ball. They changed the rules so it's easier to steal bases, and we're going to sit here and wait for the long ball. Really?
We'll talk about it.
It is frustrating.
We will definitely talk about that down the road because again, it's felt like this for years that the Angels have just kind of been behind the curve and teams are stealing bases now all of a sudden. And I wouldn't say it's free bases. It's not like free throws or anything like that, but I mean, what's the stolen base percentage? 85%, right?
At one point it was 92.
That's almost, I mean, I don't like basketball. I don't know basketball stats, but I would assume that's a pretty good free throw percentage. Just as long as you got the right guys up there. Like, I mean, I'm assuming you're not going to be stealing.
Yeah, that's probably pretty close to up there in free throw percentage.
Okay. So, I mean, that's as close as it gets. And if you can get a runner, 190 feet closer, I know that before, the stats said don't do this. I'm intrigued to know if they start doing it a little bit more, because that's now old school baseball when you think about it. Like baseball handed them offense, go out and take it. Like this offense can be really good, yes, but this offense can be really, really good if you get more and more runners on base. And in fact, it feels like the Angels have kind of struggled with, runners in scoring position anyways. So might as well get as many guys in scoring position as possible because it just doesn't seem like that side of stuff has really come around. And I know that's kind of a hit trend type of thing. So Nate, what you got before we let everybody go? Anything else?
No, good to see them win another series. It's huge, especially if they want this thing to continue on. But we'll see what this next week looks like. This is going to be an exciting week to find out, are we real or are we just pretenders? So it'll be interesting. Yeah. I know people are going to be like, are you really calling them pretenders already? But you'll find out if this team is real, depending on how they do in Boston and New York.
Well, this is when going back to New York was when everything fell apart last year for the Angels. It really was. I think they got swept in against the Mets, or was it against the Yankees?
Yankees, because Ohtani had one of his worst starts because they picked him. Yeah. Remember?
Yeah, that's when they fell apart last year and ended up losing 13 in a row, 14 in a row, whatever it was. And I hope we don't see it again. But
yeah, they went to Philly and started it off there. They gave it the grand slam.
Got fired and yep.
Yeah, they gave it the grand slam to Harper and so on. They went to New York and Shohei didn't throw well and they all didn't throw well in New York. And it was like the Yankees have something. These guys, know how to scout.
Yep. So we will see how it goes from there. We'll see if the Yankees get him again. But with all that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching and listening. If you could subscribe wherever you are viewing us, you can go ahead and follow us on all our social medias. Check us out on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. You can also check us out on talkinghalos.com. By the way, we're also looking for writers. Go ahead and shoot me a message on Twitter. You can follow myself on Twitter, Jared_Tims, Nate at NateGreen34. Guys, thank you so much for listening. Have a great rest of your day.